Welcome to the Foxy How-To series, where we dissect how we and what we do when we're styling certain elements within a home specifically for sale, sharing as much of our knowledge with you so that you can get your home up and ready for sale and get the most out of the sale price that you can. So today we are going to focus on how to style a console table. Console tables can also be used as a sideboard. We're not going to use them interchangeably though, so have a bit of a chat about when to use a console table versus a sideboard, where to put your console table, when to use a lamp, maybe not use a lamp, what elements need to be on your console table when you style it, should you use a mirror or should you use art. We'll cover all of these topics and more while we go through our how-to video today. First off, where to put your console table. When styling for sale, an obvious spot to have a console table, also called an entry table, is in your entry in the hallway to your home. So if you have a big pivot door, a big hinge door, it's so nice to open up the door and then have a console table opposite to your hinges. It opens out, it makes it feel more formal. There's a spot there at the entry for your real estate agents to put their marketing material. It's just a bit more welcoming when someone enters into your home. Another spot for a console table where we'll often use it is in a formal living space. Homes, really when you're styling them for sale, shouldn't have more than 2 TVs. So if you have a formal living room where we've got 2 armchairs and a sofa, a nice way to offset that is to have a console table up on the side. That way you can put a feature piece of artwork and it becomes one main focal point in the room. Another spot where we sneakily use a console table is in a single bedroom. These can be used instead of a desk. So a desk obviously has a little bit more depth to it. A console table only sticks out about 50 centimeters and it sits nicer, it's more slimline and it photographs nicely, making the room feel a lot bigger. Why do we use a console table over a sideboard? There are a couple of reasons. Main factors when we come to styling, when you're paying for the items, a sideboard is a lot more expensive than a console table. You're looking at more than double the price. So that's the main focus on it for us when it comes to budget-wise. Other reasons, sideboards are solid. So they seem like one big major piece. They take up a lot more space visually. A console table generally is open underneath, so it makes it feel more spacious. They're the 2 main reasons why we would go with a console table over a sideboard. In a formal living space where it's a nice big lounge room, honestly you can get away with a sideboard. I wouldn't worry about that too much. An entryway, I wouldn't be using a sideboard though. I'd be sticking to a console table because you want it to feel nice and open and airy so that everybody moving through your home feels like there's lots of space. When would we look at using a mirror of your console table versus artwork? There's some major considerations that come into play. The biggest one is feng shui. If your entry into your home, if you open it out and you walk straight into a wall and that's where your console table is, you shouldn't put a mirror above the console table in that situation. The reason for that is that it's bad feng shui. You really don't want to polarize any demographic. The reason it's bad feng shui is that as soon as your good energy comes in through your front door, it's rebounded straight out by the mirror. In that situation, definitely go artwork. Above a desk, if you're using it in a single bedroom, we generally always go artwork just because it adds in a color interest piece when most of everything else is neutral color. But in a living space, you can get away with both. The way that we make the decision is if the room is really quite dark, we'll go with a mirror. If the room is quite small, we would go with a mirror. Alternatively, if the room's quite large and we've got a nice big piece of artwork on any of the other walls, we would probably go with a mirror to reflect the art. However, it can go either way in that situation. Mirrors are great to reflect a beautiful, so if you're on the river and you've got it above a formal setting, then it can reflect the river and it's a really quite nice piece of artwork. There's not too many rules when it comes to it. It's pretty much what looks best, but they're the guidelines that we would use. Lamp versus no lamp. To be honest, we don't really have rules when it comes to this one either. Major point is there a power point? You don't really want to have a table lamp when you don't have a power point because then it's pointless. A lot of entryways actually don't have a power point there for you to use, especially in a new build. Formal living spaces you can normally do though because they're set up to have a TV spot as well. So really use it whether or not there's a power point to guide you. Long hallway that's really quite dark, definitely be adding in a table lamp. One major point, and I only make this point because I have 2 and 4-year-old boys, if you're styling this with a console table in your own home and you've got young kids, consider anchoring it to the wall. A lot of console tables have open space underneath, so it can be used as a step up. Alternatively, they've also got drawers, so they can be used to pull down. Definitely try to anchor it to the wall just for safety for the kids. If we talk styles of console tables, there are lots of different types. We have industrial style, Scandi style, whitewash style, which really fits in with a coastal theme. We have console tables that have drawers, ones that are solid, ones that are multiple levels. So these all style up differently. We have different elements that we would style with. And I'm going to take you through a couple of those and show you some examples. All right, so we're gonna style up 4 different types of consoles today. I've got the same setting, we're gonna style it twice for you, done differently, just so you can have a little go, see what we're doing, what we change, and what looks good, and what things to think about. First style, we're gonna go for a coastal feel. Coastal generally means light timbers. We've got a lot of white, we've got lots of mirrors, lots of blues, some wicker. Starting with a white base, we're gonna bring on a piece of art. All right, so adding the artwork creates a focal block by making sure we only hang out at the bottom of the artwork to the top of the console. Try and keep it about 15 to 20 centimeters. That way, to the eye, it seems like one piece. So we're gonna add some accessories to add some interest. Accessories, we need to think about color, variety, texture, heights. Need to have greenery, reading books, candles. There's so many things that you can add, so many different elements that add interest that aren't going to put off any buyers. We're gonna style this one a coastal feel, so give me 2 seconds and you'll get to see it. So something we always say to our clients is on install day, we'll have a play. When you're styling, you have great ideas about what you want to do and how you want to place it, but it never really comes together until last minute. You can have all these awesome pieces, but the arrangement on the table really depends on how they look at the time. Going for a beautiful lantern, adding that greenery in for the interest. Always remembering to style in odd numbers. Those clusters, when they're in odd numbers, it's just that lucky number that people are drawn to. Opening up your magazine or a book up to a nice page, something that doesn't have too much writing, that works in with the colours that you're using. We'll go for a nice bath page, opening it out, and then there we go. Voila, you have a nicely styled console table, coastal theme. If you weren't too happy with it, you can switch it up. Take the green out, although I prefer green, and offset it all to one side. All right, so style number 2 using this console, we are going to look at doing one of those classic formal homes, ones that have a formal dining, formal living, are really quite a nice entry space. Entry space in this home would be quite small because this is not a very big console table. So perhaps one where you walk in and you're directed to the left or the right. Need to think about where it's placed as to whether or not we use a mirror. For this particular home, we'll use a mirror. So I was mentioning Feng Shui before. Feng Shui is the flow of the energy through the home. If good energy comes in through the front door, we don't want it to be reflected back out the front door. So you want to keep your good energy in your home. So that's what a lot of buyers are looking for. That's why we tend not to place a mirror directly opposite your front entrance. So when we're talking about mirrors and artwork, they can be placed centrally to the console table. For this particular example though, I'd like to show you how we're going to offset it. So when we offset the mirror or the artwork, you need to have something that makes it feel symmetrical, make it feel like you've done it on purpose and not like something's been bumped out of the way. So you need something with height on this opposite side. We could use a table lamp, but I'm going to use vase with flowers. The tall vase plays off against the height of the photo frame, which then all makes the height on the mirror being offset feel like it was intentional. And see how it's all working together to fit nicely with the console. So when we're styling a console table, we always like to add another visual element of interest. So magazines are something that are comforting. We like to open it up just to a page. It's very similar. It makes it feel, it doesn't get a cluttered feel. Instead, it gives it a homely feel. So that's style number 2. Moving on to a different type of console. This one's more of an industrial style. It's a bit bigger. This would more likely be going into a bigger formal style living room or a really very grand entrance. This would need to go into a very big entrance. We would normally style this in the formal living area where we have a beautiful sofa, the 2 armchairs, the coffee table that matches. So we have multiple layers on this one. So this one has a couple more elements that we do consider. Obviously the point of styling a home for sale, we don't want it over cluttered. So we keep the bottom layout very simple. Thinking baskets, a nice, very neat stack of magazines. I have seen some stylists who do a nice wicker basket with a nice throw that's draped out, or maybe some cushions tucked in. There's definitely the space to do that on that bottom shelf. For our purposes though, we're going to keep it really simple. We're just going to throw a basket on. So open it out, make it nice and big, and then offset it. You don't want it to be like right in the middle. Offset it to give a point of interest. So then most of the interesting details happen on the top layer. So when we talk about using artwork that's an appropriate size, you can see we have a nice big console and quite a small piece of artwork. So this doesn't work together. A pair of these artworks side by side, centered over the top of the console, would work nicely. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a bigger piece by adding an offset table lamp and then some height on the other side. A couple of things to think about when we're doing a console that's a bit bigger. Upgrading from a magazine to a more substantial book. A magazine's going to look too poxy on this table. Could have done a little stack of books, but this one we've done a nice outlay. Offsetting your smaller piece of artwork with a nice table lamp, combined to create a feeling that you've got a much bigger piece of artwork. Again, clustering your accessories in groups of 3. We could substitute this for some greenery. We could substitute this one for something a little bit more solid so that we don't have patterns and patterns. But they all work together to create something that is quite pleasing to the eye. The other one thing that I have done, clusters of accessories, I've offset it to the basket on the bottom. That just makes it feel a bit more symmetrical. Style number 4, we're going to do this one with a really big piece of artwork. It's a big console table, so we can get away with a nice big piece of artwork. This one is 1.2 meters by 80 centimeters wide, so nice and big, nice grand entrance. So this time we don't need to offset it with a table lamp or anything like that. Instead, I'm going to do varying heights of vases. I'm going to do some more greenery than I have in the other ones, but still going to offset it with a book to create that interest on this other side without making it feel overcluttered. So you can see it's really simple. I haven't gone for anything that's too crazy. As I suggested, use some candle holders. You don't need to have the candles in them. They still work the same. The different heights working together in an odd number to create a really nice cluster. Offset by really simple styling on this other side so it doesn't feel like there's too much going on. Thank you so much for joining us today to have a look at 4 different types of consoles that we've styled. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment, send a DM, get in touch, and if you're loving what we're doing, subscribe.